Yeah, I watched that James Baldwin video, the 6 minute one you did. That was real good.
Yeah, I took that particular part out of there, and you notice I put a little music behind it because that was a serious part.
Right.
That part was serious, and so the reason why I put music behind certain areas is to make it more intense. But what he was talking about was very true. That's reality. That's what he was talking about.
When he was alive, was him and Malcolm X close?
Hmm?
I was saying when he was alive, was him and Malcolm X friends?
Yeah, they didn't start off as friends, but once Malcolm had got away from Elijah Muhammad, they had became friends because once you get out of anything structured and you become more intellectual. Because James Baldwin is very intellectual. And so when Malcolm got out of the Nation of Islam, they was able to communicate with each other freely because Malcolm's mind was just as free as his.
Right.
Because actually, on YouTube, there's a debate between him and Malcolm, and James Baldwin destroyed Malcolm. I mean, just totally obliterated him. That's the only debate that I've ever heard Malcolm lose, and it was only because his dialogue was limited because he was with Elijah Muhammad at the time.
Right.
And Malcolm used to use he used to make a lot of good points. But I think what hurt Malcolm mostly from listening to a whole lot of his debates and talks with people, he would be doing fine until he said, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, and I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's that brainwashing.
If you could just leave that alone, because as soon as he bring Elijah Muhammad up, everything he said before is totally discredited.
Yeah, it goes down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm gonna listen to that one, the full one that he did with him and Nick Giovanni, because I like that 6 minute clip one. So I never just sat down and listened to him. And I know you've been posting and talking about him for years. I just never took a chance to listen to Baldwin, but after listening to that video, I was like, I'm gonna have to look into him and study him.
Yeah, James.
I always knew he was intelligent. I just never looked into him.
Yeah, James Baldwin was brilliant, but another reason why black people are never going to make it is because you post something about James Baldwin, and instead of them dealing with what he's talking about, wasn't he gay? You see?
Yeah, niggas.
Now the focus is on who he was sleeping with. Isn't that his business?
Right.
Are you listening to the man? Because regardless if he was gay or not, Dr. King knew that he wouldn't be able to deal with James Baldwin. That's one of the reasons why you never saw King and Baldwin on the same format. This government ain't stupid. And Dr. King wasn't stupid either. Dr. King stayed away from Baldwin and Malcolm. He stayed, those were the two main people who he said, oh, hell no, you ain't put me on no panel with them.
Right.
And if you get on a panel with James Baldwin, oh my God. See, he was a more intellectual and more eloquent than Malcolm. Malcolm spoke like me. Malcolm spoke in formulas. Malcolm carries you through it. James Baldwin just throw everything at you all at once. Blah, 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 blah. if you don't know how to listen to him, and if you don't really know words, oh, James will mess you up, dude. He will mess you up. He's one of those people that I would have loved to sit on the panel with him, but I would have never tried to debate him. Never. Okay? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have never tried to debate him. I think that me and him could have went back and forth. But what's the point of going back and forth with why make a person like this your rival when you can make him your ally? You know? But he destroyed Malcolm, and that's on YouTube. Malcolm couldn't do nothing with him. Nothing. I'm sitting there listening to this whole conversation, and it had extended for a whole hour, and Malcolm couldn't even get a jab in on this man. He couldn't even get a jab in on him. And he also debated Great Britain's primary debater over in Great Britain. But Baldwin, yeah, I think you should study him, because YouTube has a lot of footage on him. As a matter of fact, that debate that he had in the United Kingdom, I had uploaded that too. You know, that speech that he gave at the same place Malcolm had got his. And see, James Baldwin, he rejected religion too, and that's one of the reasons why he was so intelligent. See, when you're not inside of a cage, you're doing fine. You know.
Right.
But anytime you feel as though you have to remain within the circumference of any measure of information, it's frustrating, you know, and it becomes a burden, you know. But any intelligent person is not going to be able to remain in an organization. And you know, that's what Brother Wesley was telling me out here, even when I was going through the process in the Nation of Islam. He had walked me to the car, my car one night. He said, "Brother David, I need to talk to you." And so he was walking me to my car, and he said, "I can tell that you're not going to be with us." And I looked at him, I said, What gives you that impression? He said, "Because I'm listening to you, and I study groups, and I hear the way you talk and stuff like that." He said, "You are a very thinking man," and he said, "It's nothing wrong with that." He said, "It's just men who are constantly thinking are are either constantly growing or constantly diminishing." He said, "But when I listen to you," he said, "you are going to constantly expand." And he said, "I'm not discrediting what Elijah Muhammad gave us." He said, "But a man like you can't be put inside of anybody's cage."
Why?
He said, "You have to remain free." He said, "Because if you don't remain, if you're not free," he said, "you're not going to be anybody's friend." You know, he said, because if you're limited, even in the church, he said, you're going to make enemies. He said, if you're in this organization, he said, you're going to make enemies here. He said, because you're making them already. You know, a lot of brothers in there are intimidated by you. He said the same as a person, he said the first signs of intimidation and envy is admiration. I'll never forget that he told me that. He said, anybody who admires you, he said, will soon end up being your enemy.
Dang.
That's true, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely true. You look at the history, a lot of people who've been killed a lot of times or betrayed by the people that admired them and looked up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why you've always hated when people will flatter you, because you already know the deal.
No, that's not it. I don't like flattery because and compliments and stuff. I think it has everything to do with the fact that you know, I've been thinking about that a lot, off and on, and I think it has everything to do with my a part of it is because of my humility. A part of it is due to the fact that I'm not used to people giving me compliments, and so it makes me feel uncomfortable. And it also, one of the primary things is, the reason why I don't like people complimenting me and stuff like that is, to tell you the truth, when people compliment you, they put you into a cage.
Yeah, I get where you're going with it.
When they say you're a good person and they put you in that cage and they close the door. When I know that I'm not a good person. I'm not a bad person either. I'm not good or bad. I'm not positive or negative. I'm not strong or weak. You know, so when you are a person who understands things like that, you keep far away from compliments, because you know compliments are things that people, whether they realize it or not, regardless of their good intentions, they impose. It's an imposement on you. Like I say, it's a cage. You know, it's almost like coming up, putting you in a cage, or stamping you with a characteristic that they expect you to consistently demonstrate.
Yeah.
And I don't really consider myself complicated, but I do consider myself free. Now most people who would hear that, they would say, "Oh no, I mean, it's almost like he lives a life of contradiction." Everybody on this planet lives a life of contradiction. But you know what? Contradiction only implies a person who is constantly growing. And the reason why I say that is because, as I said before, I could say something Monday, and Wednesday, I feel totally different about it.
Right.
Now, well, you contradicting yourself. No, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm at a higher level of understanding right now. And so that level of understanding was obviously programmed in me based upon somebody else's point of view. You know, and due to the fact that I'm put on this planet to constantly evolve to a certain state based upon my destiny, I'm never gonna be worried about how people see me as a hypocrite or contradictive. And you know, I was telling Brother Wesley, I said, you know, this was another time me and him talking, and you know, this was after I had left, and he had came by my apartment one evening, and we were just sitting up talking, and I was telling him, you know, we were talking about the Quran, and you know, and I was telling him that that I didn't agree with the concept that the Quran says a hypocrite is. And the Quran says you can't be a believer one day and then speak as though you are not a believer the next day, because that makes you a hypocrite. And I was telling him, I don't really see any problem with a person growing to a higher level of understanding. I don't really see them as a hypocrite, as long as that they newfound state of enlightenment is based upon the expansion of the mind. I don't really see a problem with that. Because a thinking person can't be limited.
Right.
Because they're always gonna something is always gonna be revealed to them that they'll catch it, and then they'll say, well, what about this? It's like this whole Yaqub theology that they have in the Nation of Islam, how Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad was saying that the Spirit of God was on Yaqub to create a people to rule contrary to God's rule. And so he created these white people who they call devils for them to rule on earth for 6,000 years. Well, how could the Spirit of Allah, which is divine, be on Yaqub to create a people who are considered devils? And then they said, well, these white people were supposed to rule for 6,000 years contrary to the rules of Allah, in order to help shape, mold, and shape a people to be ready to accept paradise. So everybody is supposed to suffer for 6,000 years by these white people, just so they can, be ready to be with Allah. And so the 6,000 years period is looked upon as a purification period in our lives. But all at the same time, if this is being self-inflicted, then as far as I was concerned, that's just like I was telling Brother Wesley. If this is self-inflicted in order for you to get yourself, you might as well say, ready to meet with Allah, then this is a form of, what did I tell him? Deception.
Right.
It's a form of deception. And so you can't say that these people are devils and you created these devils, because obviously you had a demonic mentality to even create these people and put them in these positions in order to do what they do, in order to get everybody ready to meet with Allah. And I told him, I said, that's deception. I mean, how can you cause a condition and impose it on yourself in order to get you ready to receive Allah? I don't get it. Then he said, well, that purification period, they supposed to put that on us so that we will submit to the rules and laws of Allah. I said, yeah, but I get that. I said, but at the same time, these devils, you guys are saying that they are going to burn in hell. They're going to go down to the great fire. But due to the fact that they was created by way of Allah's intention, according to y'all teaching, why should they have to go to hell if they were created and did exactly what they were supposed to do? And that's when that's when everybody in the room got quiet. And then this young minister, the one who's the assistant minister down there, he said, basically, what are you trying to say, brother? I said, okay, what I'm going to do, I said, I'm going to give you a more simple scenario. I said, here it is in the Bible. According to prophecy, it says that Jesus was going to be betrayed by one of his disciples. This is prophecy. So therefore, this man named Judas Iscariot, he was created and put on earth as a tool of prophecy, regardless if it was against his own will or not. But he was put on this earth for one primary reason, and that was to betray Christ. And his betrayal of Christ put him in the hands of the Romans, who crucified him so he can die for all y'all sins and blah, 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 and be resurrected so-called 3 days later. I said, but when he ended up killing himself, a lot of people said that he went to hell. Well, obviously, it was meant for him to self-destruct. I mean, this is prophecy. So if he did exactly what he was supposed to have done as far as betraying Christ and delivering him to the hands of the Jews and the Romans, he fulfilled his destiny. So why shouldn't he be in heaven?
I know they couldn't respond to that.
They didn't. You should have saw Minister Duke Muhammad. He just looked over at me. He was so uncomfortable. He just looked over at me and he just shook his head real slow. Like, oh my God, we got to get this nigga out of here. And for a long time, they was angry at Brother Wesley because Brother Wesley would always invite me down there. And they was accusing Brother Wesley of using me as a tool to pull brothers out of the mosque because Brother Wesley's wife is Christian. So it's a whole lot, man.